What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be updating my Human Lightning Storm Druid build I made at the very beginning of Season 3, and we've made a lot of nice improvements to the build overall to increase the spirit generation as well as increase survivability, and I think overall damage output as well. Now, much like I do with all of my build videos, all of that gameplay footage you've seen at the very beginning used no elixirs, no incense, I had no uber uniques or unique tuning stones, and I definitely had no snapshots attached to my build. Also, I do plan on making the uber unique version of this build at some point in time. I'm still just missing several uniques. I need my Harlequin Crest, aka Shaco, my Ring of Starless Skies, as well as my Genesis Tuning Stone. Also, I have added a complete run of a tier 100 vault at the end of the video, as well as a complete Uber Lilith fight, just in case you guys are interested in that gameplay footage as well. So now that we've gotten all that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the build. And as you guys can see here right away, there have been some changes to the assigned skills. We no longer need Wind Shear because of some changes I made to the Paragon board. So let's go over the assigned skills real quick. We're using Lightning Storm, Petrify, and Petrify is really useful to knock out those suppressor enemies. Bulwark, and then obviously all three of the companions, because this is using the Shepherd's aspect. Then on the Spirit Boons, we're running Weariness on the Deer. We are Spirit Bonded into the Eagle, and we did switch to Iron Feather just to increase our survivability, and we're also still running Avian Wrath. On the Wolf, we're running Pack Leader. This is optional for you guys. I personally like Pack Leader. I get a lot out of my companions, but you can also run any three of these boons, whichever one you would prefer. On the Snake, we are going to run Calm Before the Storm just to reset our ultimate that much faster. On the equipment, we're running Protecting aspect on the helm, and I really like this aspect a lot because it does save you from a lot of those one-shots you get from the guardsman constructs and makes your vault runs a lot smoother. I would highly recommend using this instead of a Godslayer crown because honestly, you don't actually need that extra damage. You kill things so fast already that you're kind of just overdoing it in terms of the damage when you should probably be running more survivability just to make your vault run smoother. On the chest, we're running the Juggernaut's aspect. Obviously, that armor is insane. The Unsung Ascetic Wraps for the glove slot, and I have added some affixes just in case you don't have those gloves yet, but you most likely will if you're running this in-game build. For the pants, we're running Tebow's Will. Again, I added affixes. We'll go over that in a few minutes. On the boots, running the Symbiotic aspect because this is a Nature's Fury build, and we like to get those resets on our non-ultimate skills. On the weapon, we swapped out Shepherds for Conceited because I did decide to go ahead and run a one-hand axe and totem for this build. Then on the amulet, this is where we put our Shepherd's aspect. Then for our first ring, and this is a vault setup, so we're running Lightning Dancer's aspect, and this is a phenomenal aspect for vaults. You kill everything before you even see it. This aspect is so good. Then on the second ring, we're running the aspect of Stampede, again, just to buff up our Shepherd's aspect that much more and increase our core skill damage. And then on the offhand, this is where we are running the aspect of Retaliation. Now on to the gear affixes. On the helmet, we're running Max Life, Total Armor, Willpower, and Lucky Hit Chance while you have a barrier. On the chest piece, we're running Ranks of Earth and Bulwark, Total Armor, Damage Reduction from distant enemies, and Damage Reduction from close enemies. On the gloves, if you do not have the Unsung Ascetic Wraps, run Crit Strike Chance, Lucky Hit Chance, Ranks of Lightning Storm, and Attack Speed. For the pants, if you do not have Tebow's Will, run Max Life, Damage Reduction from distant enemies, Damage Reduction while fortified, and Damage Reduction from close enemies. On the boots, we're running Spirit Cost Reduction, Movement Speed, Damage Reduction while injured, and Willpower. And that Damage Reduction while injured is really valuable to me. However, it is a flex spot, so if you prefer something like Dodge Chance, go ahead and pick that up instead. On the weapon, we're running all stats, damage to close enemies, damage to distant enemies, and willpower. On the amulet, we're running movement speed, spirit cost reduction, ranks of the Defiance passive, and ranks of all defensive skills. On our rings, we're running crit strike chance, lucky hit chance, damage to close enemies, and damage to distant enemies. However, I would like to note that that lucky hit chance roll is optional. You can definitely change that to a different damage bucket if you'd prefer. And last but not least, on our totem, we're running spirit cost reduction, critical strike chance, all stats, and willpower. Now for the gems, we're running emeralds on the weapon, rubies on the armor, and we are using a mixture of diamonds and skulls, so if you need resistances, use diamonds. If you need more armor, use skulls, obviously. Then for our Seneschal construct, we are running Tempest, and then we're using efficiency support, resource support, and swift support. And then for our second ability, we're using Flash of Adrenaline, and we're running duration support, safeguard, and tactical support. Now down here at the bottom is just some light instruction for you guys. It just says you can use two-hand staff with shepherds if you prefer. Also for bossing, go ahead and swap your helm to Godslayer crown because that still makes bossing a lot faster. And then for your ring, swap your dancers to runeworkers aspect. And then obviously vaults and dungeons, you run lightning dancers aspect. Now going over the skills briefly, we do have 2 points here for wind shear just because we have to have those to unlock the next tree. Then on our core skills, we're running 5 ranks into Lightning Storm, and then we're picking up Primal Lightning Storm. We're also running 3 points into Predatory Instinct. On our defensive tree, we're going 5 ranks into Earthen Bulwark into Preserving Earthen Bulwark. Then we're running 1 point Ancestral Fortitude into 3 points Vigilance, so we get that nice damage reduction. On our companion tree, we're running 1 point Wolves into Ferocious Wolves. We're running 3 points Nature's Reach. Then we're grabbing 1 point Poison Creeper into Brutal Poison Creeper. And then 1 point Ravens into Brutal Ravens. Now for our Wrath tree, we're going 1 point Elemental Exposure, 1 point Charged Atmosphere, 3 points Electric Shock, and 3 points Bad Omen. We're also grabbing 1 point Neurotoxin and 3 points in Venom because we still have Poison Creeper on our bar, so we will still get that bonus when we poison enemies in dungeons or vaults or for bosses. Then on our ultimate tree, we're running 1 point Petrify into Prime Petrify for the extended duration. We're grabbing 3 points Defiance, 1 point Circle of Life, 1 point Natural Disaster, and 3 points Resonance. And then for our key passive, we're running Nature's Fury. Now onto our Paragon boards, and this is where we made a lot of changes to make the overall build feel a lot better when doing in-game content. So on our first board, we're running Fulminate. Moving into our second board, this is the Ancestral Guidance board, and we're running Keeper in the Glyph slot, so we are going to be picking up those rare nodes as well, so we get that boost from the additional bonus from Keeper. Then we are also picking up the Legendary node here, so we get that big multiplicative damage increase after we use 75 Spirit. Moving on to our third board, this is the Thunderstruck board, and we are running the Human Glyph here. And we are picking up the Thunderstruck node because this node gives us a ton of multiplicative damage based off of our damage to close and damage to distant enemies damage buckets. Then on to our fourth board, we're running Constricting Tendrils, and we're slotting in our Electrocution Glyph. Moving on to our fifth board, this is the Earth and Devastation board with the Spirit Glyph, and that's just because of efficiency. It's a really easy glyph to get, has some nice dex nodes on the way, so we don't really have to go too far out of the way to grab up those. And then we go out of our fifth board into our sixth board. This is the Height and Malice board, and we're slotting in Territorial here because there are a lot of dexterity nodes around this glyph, and they're easy to get, so we can bump up our Thunderstruck node that much more. And then last but not least, our Survival Instincts board. This is the seventh board branching off of the Ancestral Fortitude board, and we are slotting in Exploit here. And the reason why I decided to slot in Exploit is because we don't have a reliable source of vulnerability, and this helps get that vulnerability up on enemies as soon as we hit them, so that way we get that 3 seconds of increased damage, and it really helps burn down enemies really fast in dungeons. But that's really for the video, guys. I will be updating my other builds as well as streaming my hardcore gameplay and some Last Epoch when it comes out throughout the week. Also, there will be links to all these builds as well as the build videos down in the description below. But with that being said, I hope you guys are having a great day or a great night depending on wherever you're from, and peace out, guys. I will see you in the next one.
must wait. I'm not ready. I must wait. I'm not ready. I must wait a moment.